Procrastination isn't laziness or always choosing the fun thing or a self-discipline problem. It's your brain's default way of protecting itself from pain. What do you do when you touch something hot? You flinch away. But as long as you believe that procrastination is something you have to stop instead of something that you need to listen to, then you're going to keep procrastinating. And understanding that is the key to never procrastinating again, if that's something that interests you. So if you want to start finding it easy to take action, to be productive, then you've got to start looking at the pain. Rather than blaming yourself for doing something wrong, you have to look at the pain that you're avoiding, the pain that you're reacting to. Procrastination is a signpost to what is going on. And that feels a hell of a lot better than criticizing yourself for a sensible evolutionary response. But this isn't going to make sense unless you really understand the mechanics of it. So I'm going to explain to you what I think is happening when you procrastinate, and you can decide whether you think I'm right or wrong. We have task pain and we have procrastination pain. The task pain starts big and the procrastination pain starts small. These are the two broad categories of pain we're dealing with in procrastination. The task pain is there originally. You don't want to do the task because there's something painful about the task. Maybe it's boring, maybe someone asks you to do it and that creates a sense of demand and it takes away a feeling of autonomy. Maybe you're just uncertain about what to do next. Maybe it's stressful in some way. There's pain, maybe multiple layers of pain in the task, enough that it feels big, daunting, overwhelming, you don't want to touch it. Then there's the procrastination pain, the little pain on the side. It starts tiny. When you first start procrastinating, when you first start avoiding the task, you're not really noticing the presence of the procrastination. You may not even notice that you're procrastinating yet. But as you procrastinate, the pain builds. The procrastination pain, the pain that comes from procrastinating. I've pronounced that weirdly, but the stress, the shame, the existential dread, the sort of inertia malaise that builds of, I can't move, why can't I move? I feel stuck, I didn't move before, how do I move now? Those kinds of spirals, all of these fall into the procrastination pain. And it starts small and it's just a little niggle and then it grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at some point, it overtakes the task pain in size. At some point it overtakes the task pain in size, now it's the bigger pain. And maybe you can see what's happening here already. We choose the smaller pain. Humans choose the smaller pain. Humans always choose the smaller pain. I think you can see which to you looks like the smaller pain. To reinforce this argument, the people who make that sort of grit hustle narrative, let's take David Goggins, it's a great example. I saw a reel a while ago of him, of his wife actually, his wife saying, if anyone wonders what it's like to be married to David, and then she cut to a video of her at 3 a.m. driving along the road really slowly, hazard lights on, headlights on, alongside David, who apparently at 8 p.m. that night had thought, oh, I would really like to watch another episode of something. And then he thought, oh, hold on, but that's the easy thing to do. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do an ultra marathon tonight. And he compulsively, he had to, he couldn't help himself, because to him, the more painful thing was acquiescing to his impulse. His beliefs won out. Because to him, the most valuable thing is that push, that grind. For a lot of us, maybe you, if you're anything like me, or the people that I work with, you want to enjoy life. You don't want it to be a big hustle grind. That sort of thing feels pointless inherently. It might seem exciting, it might seem meaningful, but when you go to do something like that, it feels empty, it feels hollow. It's like, why? I need some greater reason. We always choose the most painful thing. We just have different narratives of what the most painful thing is. That's why some of us are chronic procrastinators and some aren't. Because for some of us, the most painful thing is in doing things day in, day out that feel boring, that feel dull, that feel stressful, that feel painful. And why would we want to do things all the time that feel painful, even if there's some aspiration on the other side? It comes down to our values and what we find most painful, and you don't really have control over that, I'm sorry. You value what you value at this point in time. At where you're up to in your life, this is what you value now, it's built in. What you find painful, that's built in. That's what you got to work with. Those are the pains. You have the procrastination pain and the task pain, and if we're always doing the most painful thing, if we're always avoiding the most painful thing, if we're always doing the least painful thing, then there's only one, well, there are two options, but there's only one other option that we can choose. The first we've just talked about. You wait for the procrastination pain to get so big that you have to do the task and you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, two enormous pains, and it feels shit, it's atrocious, and it's not a good way to live. The other option is we figure out how to make the task pain smaller. Because if the task pain is small to begin with, then the procrastination pain will never have to get very big at all before you go do the task. Procrastination isn't a problem inherently. It'll happen, everyone will do it. It's a matter of if it becomes a big obstacle in your life, a big problem in your life. And you know if it is or not. And so if we can find ways to make that task pain smaller, the procrastination pain can be small enough that it never really becomes anything. That it's just, I procrastinated for half an hour, whatever, I'll go do the task now. As opposed to getting stuck in hours and days and weeks and years sometimes of procrastinating important, valuable things. So how do we make the task pain smaller? That is a huge topic unto itself. You can subscribe for more of that kind of shit. But if you want a very brief, cursory introduction to it, the more we understand a problem, the more we understand a pain, the more intuitive it is for us to start to come up with ideas for how to do things differently. Investigate, really investigate. My suggestion would be one area of pain, one kind of task that you find painful. Really investigate that area. Try to understand it deeply. Don't worry about coming up with ideas for how to reduce the pain. Just investigate it. The ideas will start to come naturally the more you understand it. Start with just observing the pain, noticing the pain. That makes all the difference in the world. No longer criticizing yourself for a valid, sensible evolutionary mechanism, and instead saying, oh, there are good reasons for me avoiding this. It's boring as shit. It's mind-numbingly stressful. Well, maybe those contradict each other. Mind-numbingly boring, intensely stressful, whatever. Really uncertain, I don't know what to do next. Whatever it is, as you start to investigate that, you'll start to come up with ideas for how to make that task pain smaller. And even if you make it a little smaller, that means the procrastination pain isn't getting quite as big before you go do the task, before you feel driven, forced to go do the task because the threat of dread, the threat of a deadline, whatever, has become so big. The poison of this process is procrastination makes us look away from the problem, thinking that the problem will be painful. But very often if we look towards it, we don't have to experience the pain of the task, the boredom of the task, whatever it is. Very often, sometimes we do, just by looking at it. But very often, by looking at it, we don't actually experience the pain of the task. We can just observe, see what the pain is, learn from it, and change things. And that's an awful contradiction where procrastination is telling us to look away from the task, which means we're never getting the chance to learn. But the more you observe, the more it will be natural to start to change things. Stick around, as I said, if you want more of this kind of shit, if you want to go deeper. Hope this was helpful. We're going to change this shit for you if you want to stick around. Am I repeating myself a lot? Maybe I am now. Maybe I am rambling. That's fine. Let's stop. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.